And welcome to the Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting topic webinar. Guys, my name is Joanne Barnard and I'll be your panelist for today. Joining us is also Nancy, who will be answering your questions in Q&A. So guys, please will you just send your questions through to Nancy. Nancy, I see there's another person who says that they don't have sound. If you could just assist them. I'm not sure why that's happening, and it does seem to be happening on certain ones. It's possible it was on my side, guys, and I'm really sorry for that. I did have to start and stop my internet again. I am hoping that you can hear me now. But guys, basically today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about preparing for year end and what channels are available to us. So guys, this is not a webinar on how to process the year end. This is what do I need to do to prepare for my year end? What stuff do I need to put in place? And guys, to be honest, the first couple of webinars that I did this year was specifically to assist you in preparing for the year end, because there's a lot of checks in the year end that need to be done before you can actually run the year end. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop for a moment because I'm not sure if there are sound issues. I know that other people can hear me, but I do need to know if the majority of people can hear me or not. Nancy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to come back in. What it is going to do is it's going to make you the... Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting topic webinar. Guys, today what we're going to be discussing is year-end prep and the channels available to you when you are ready to run your year-end. Guys, this is not going to be a webinar on how to actually run the year-end. This is going to be specifically year-end prep. Now, if you've attended the first couple of webinars this year, this was actually preparing you for that, because there's a lot of misconception on what some of the checklist means. And what I mean by that, guys, is if, for example, we go to the Sage KB, and this is where we've put the checklist. It is also available via Sage City, but I really like this checklist. What I mean by that is that there's no set time that you actually need to do specific things. And that makes it a little bit tricky, especially if you're coming from a payroll background, because with payroll, there are very, okay guys, I'm being told that the sound has disappeared again. Has that happened for everyone? Please let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to continue while I wait to see if people can hear me. Hopefully I'll get a lot of yeses. But guys, basically with payroll, you need to do specific things at specific times. But with 50, although we'll give you an idea of when you can do things, guys, that's not necessarily when you have to do it. Okay, fantastic. My sound hasn't actually disappeared. Nancy, if you could just help the person who said my sound disappeared, that would be fantastic. But so guys, we will kind of be like, okay, maybe you should do this at this time, maybe you should do that at that time. But the truth is that there's certain things you have to do before you run the year end, whether you do them the day you run the year end, the day before, or a week before, it doesn't matter. They just need to be done. But there are things that I'm like, well, you can do this at any time of the year. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the 13th period and your data integrity. So guys, a lot of people only run data integrity at year end. And honestly, I don't understand why, because it's not actually a year-end check. Data integrity checks the integrity of your data, ensuring that your reports are accurate. This is something that you should run often, not once a year. That in itself leads to a lot of frustration for you guys, because, or especially if you get errors on it now, you're like, it's year end. I can't afford to send this in for a data fix. Who can help me? Why is this happening? Why is this a year-end check? It's not actually a year-end check. It's just there are certain data integrity errors that you cannot run a year-end on, because if you run a year-end, we can't fix it. So it is a check there to ensure nothing's happened from the last time you did data integrity to now. But you can run this at any time, which is why in January, I put that as something that you need to do like now, today. You've got my newsflash, run data integrity, to ensure that you can at least book your data in timeously, because if everyone runs data integrity on the 21st of February, and let's say a third of those people have integrity errors, now that third is booking in their data, and guys, you're going to see a delay in turnaround time. Instead of 24 hours, and we're talking about like 1 working day, we're going to go to 2 or 3 working days, depending on the volume. And during year end, I don't think that there's anyone who can afford that downtime. Generally speaking, no company can afford 1 to 2 working days downtime as it is. But during year end, you are pushing to make sure that your financials are correct and that you can send that through for auditing. So guys, that's why I'm like, this is something that you should do at least once a month. The reason I say once a month, because I've had people go, oh, can't I do it more than that? Does it damage the file? No, not at all. But if you have a very large data set, there are certain data sets where you have to run the data integrity overnight, because it's just going through too much stuff and no one can work when you run data integrity. So some companies run data integrity in a couple of minutes, some companies a couple of hours, and some companies have to be run overnight, guys. So to understand the size of your data, that's where you decide how often you run data integrity. Also bearing in mind, the bigger your data set, the more transactions you are processing in that data set. The more transactions you're processing, the greater risk for corruption there is. So guys, it's just something to bear in mind. But these are your year-end preparation, which went through in January, and these are the things that you need to check. But guys, your 13th period, you don't have to only enable it now in February or on the 21st. You can enable it right now. You can go into your Pastel, you can open up your company, and guys, all you need to do is go to Setup Periods, put in your 13, and tick the option, use last period as first period of next year. Now guys, a lot of the time people ask, what exactly does this mean? What does it mean if it's ticked? What does it mean if it's not ticked? If it's ticked, it means whatever the last period is, irrespective of the number of periods, and guys, I can't change it, but if this was 12, that would be February. If it was 5, that would be July. Whatever the last period is in your list, that is going to become period 1. So based on that, if this is ticked and you have 12 periods and it says February, I'm sure you can see how the periods can be incorrect if you run year end, because February is going to suddenly be period 1, not March. Likewise, if you do not tick this, unticking it means the period directly following the last period. So whatever date comes immediately after end is going to be your first period. So in this instance, mine would be the 1st of April, 2022. If this is 12 periods, March would be perfect if that's how my year end runs. However, if I have 13 periods and I don't tick this, that means April is going to be my first period, because the very next date after my end date is 01/04/2022. Again, guys, that is what the tick or not tick means. Unticked, very next date. Ticked, whatever is last, irrespective of the number of periods, whatever period is last will be period 1. I hope that explains that. But you can set up a 13th period at any time. Now, guys, another question that we often get is we will be asked, you know, what is the 13th period exactly? Do I have to enable the 13th period? And guys, no, not at all. If you are ready to run your year end, you can run your year end, and it doesn't matter when you're ready to do that, as long as it falls within the financial year. So if you finalize February on the 20th of February, you can run the year end on the 20th of February. It's absolutely fine. However, if you see you get to the 28th of February, so what is that? Sorry guys, I'm just checking. So you get to basically 3 weeks time. You're on the 28th of February, which is a Monday. And you, sorry guys. And you see, I'm not ready to run my year end. There's still a lot that I need to finalize. Then guys, that's when you enable the 13th period, because it gives you an extra month to finalize your year end, irrespective of what the actual period is. Obviously, the majority of people run their year from March to Feb, but we do have people who run from October to September, or from January to December, which is most of the schools. So guys, depending on what it is, you know, that's when you need to have a period of grace. Basically, it's giving you one full period to finalize your year end. But again, guys, that doesn't mean that you can't run the year end until, in this instance, the 31st of March, which a lot of people also assume. They're like, okay, so I can't run year end even if I'm ready until the 31st of March. No, guys, if it gets to the 28th of Feb, you're not ready, you enable the 13th period, and you see on the 7th of March, okay, I'm good to go. You run the year end and you carry on processing as per normal. It's just allowing you an extra period. You may not need all that time, so you run the year end when you are ready. And then you continue processing. So if you're ready at the end of Feb and you don't need a 13th period, you don't need to enable it. If you need it, enable it, but understand you don't have to wait until the end of that 13th period to run the year end. I hope that that's clear. And guys, you can do this at any point. Like if you enable it now, you can leave that as enabled forever. If you're ready at the end of February and you haven't processed in March, all you need to be aware of is when you run the year end, it's going to tell you that your last period does not have transactions. Personally, I always tell people stop, go to set up periods, and what you're going to check for is you're going to check what your last period is. If this is grayed out, you should have transactions. If it's not, fine. But what you want to make sure of is that someone or yourself forgetting, it happens. But generally, guys, this happens when there are multiple people who work in a company. Someone's already run the year end. Due to lack of communication, you don't know, and now you're trying to run it again. All that you need to check is, are my periods correct? Have I fully processed February, i.e. it's grayed out? And if you have, and you know you haven't done any March processing and you've allowed 13 periods, it's totally okay to click OK on that specific option where it tells you that. But guys, that's just a warning, because sometimes we do have multiple people who are allowed to run the year end, and Joe goes and runs the year end, and poor Nancy doesn't know, and now Nancy runs the year end, and now we're sitting with a company that's running from 2023 to 2024 instead of 2022 to 2023. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Use it if you need to, don't if you don't, but both the data integrity and the 13th period can be done at any point in time. Then guys, if we look at our checklist, we can see that there are a number of things on here, like year-end stock take. Now guys, a lot of the time, questions that will be asked through the years that I've worked with Sage, and that's 12 years, guys, questions that are asked are either what is a year-end stock take, and this is normally, and I call it a stock take because people didn't understand what account inventory was, and this is generally people who don't use inventory. So guys, if you don't use inventory, if you don't sell physical goods you don't need to do a stock take or a count because you don't have anything physical to count. That's what a year-end count inventory, that's what it's called in Pastel, stock take is. You sell physical items like a can of Coke or a steak or a computer. It's something physical that you sell. It's physical stock. And the whole purpose of the year-end stock take is because you enter values into Pastel. So your inventory is an asset because you can convert those physical items into money. That's what it is. You're creating wealth from those items. But in doing that, you're obviously entering it into the system, and Pastel goes and converts those physical items into a financial value and tells you you've got 2 million worth of stock. The thing is that Pastel is a program, which I'm sure we all know, but there's certain things it can't account for. It can't account for theft and it can't account for breakage. And unless you tell Pastel, oh, listen here, I actually did bring in 5 boxes of those, but one got stolen and one got broken, Pastel does not know that, which means that the monetary valuation of your stock is wrong. And that's the purpose of account inventory. It's so that you can go and physically count the stock on hand and compare that to the theoretical value Pastel thinks you have. Then, depending on what Pastel thinks you have and the physical value you actually have on hand, journals and adjustments will be written to account for that difference. Now, guys, sometimes you're going to have a difference on certain items, and there are going to be times where the items are going to be accurate. If you do a count inventory and you print your inventory variance report, and it tells you that your report is 100% correct, your physical and your theoretical match, either someone's already done it or your snapshot is broken. The important thing to remember there is to actually go and view the physical quantities. Don't just look at it and go, oh, it's showing 0. Fantastic. Guys, that's actually a huge red flag. Like, that would freak me out because I'd be like, well, what do you mean there's no variance? That the likelihood of your theoretical value being 100% accurate is very low. There's a greater chance that the snapshot has corrupted. Guys, I see there's a question. Okay, sound got lost. Hopefully the rest of you can still hear me. But guys, basically there is a very small chance that your stock, your theoretical is accurate. There's a bigger chance that the snapshot is corrupted. And that's where you would go clear snapshot without updating. And unfortunately, you're going to have to redo the whole process. There are certain things you need to do, like rebuild files and run a stock fix before you redo the count inventory though. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know it's good again. So guys, those are things that, like, these are tips that I can give you. And that's why you do a count inventory. It's to check the theoretical and the physical match up. Another thing when doing your count inventory or your stock take, guys, if you see, and you have to print that variance report because I've seen this happen a lot, where people don't and they have a valuation, then suddenly they're like, wait, my valuation and my control totally don't match. They're out by millions. So guys, we're not talking about a slight difference. There's always going to be a slight difference for obvious reasons. You're bringing it in at a specific cost, but when you sell it, it's an average cost. There will be slight variances, but obviously millions of rands out is not okay. A lot of the time that can happen because a lot of people love this little tick. And to be honest, it's a frustration for me personally because people, again, don't understand this tick. And they go to set up inventory and they see make average cost 0.0s on hand. They go, yeah, absolutely, that's amazing. That means that I will have as accurate a cost as possible because I would rather deal with actual cost versus average cost. Guys, here's why this is dangerous. If you're doing a stock count or a count inventory and you've ticked this option and Pastel thinks you have 0 on hand, but technically you have 10, it's going to do an adjustment with 0 value. that is a major problem because the average cost is 0. And when you are processing a stock take, you want to know where Pastel pulls the value to do the adjustments of. Yep, guys, you guessed it, average cost. So if you've ticked that option and it tells you the average cost is 0, because it thought you had 0 quantities on hand, but actually you had 10, it's going to bring those 10 in at a 0 cost, which means when you sell them, your GP is going to be 100% and SARS is going to be very happy. You, on the other hand, are going to be miserable because you're not going to understand why you suddenly owe SARS so much money. So guys, it's really important to check this stuff. Make sure that your average costing is as accurate as possible before you do your year-end stock take. Make sure that you don't have 0 values. If you do, and there's a chance that you're going to have to bring that item in, you are going to need to go and correct that. And guys, the way you correct that is you do tick that option, take all your items out, untick that option and bring all your items in. In that instance, you might as well just use that as an actual count, because that is how you do a physical stock take, a physical count inventory. So if you see you have this problem and you've got to do a year-end stock take, my honest advice would be tick the option, make average cost 0 when 0 is on hand, take all your inventory out, untick the option, do your actual stock take, and when you're bringing your items in, bring in the correct quantities. You then don't need to go and do a count inventory or a stock take, guys. You've manually done that by doing an inventory journal, but in that way, you'll also make sure that your average costing is correct. But obviously, ticking that option can mess with a count inventory and can cause you to bring in items at a 0 cost, which is dangerous when we're talking about gross profit. Please don't do that, guys. That option should actually only be ticked if you are trying to correct your average costing. You use that tick when you are correcting inventory. You don't use it as a setting. It is incredibly dangerous. I really hope you can understand why now. Because honestly, no one wants to have to pay SARS more than what they're actually supposed to. So guys, those are my tips with regards to your stock take and your inventory. But obviously, if you don't have inventory, please don't go and run or try to run accounts inventory. There's no reason for it. Guys, another thing around the stock take and accounts inventory that I've seen people do is that often they'll have open batches. And sorry guys, this is actually my year-end prep company, and this is going to be for the webinar on how to actually run the year-end and year-end errors. So please ignore some of the stuff that comes up, because this is kind of to demonstrate a batch with a missing user, but I'm not going to explain that today. But guys, basically, if we check this, I see that I have both tax invoices and supplier invoices and a point of sale tax invoice. When I'm doing a stock take, in a perfect world, guys, you should not have open batches. And the reason for that is I've seen a lot of people where they haven't actually checked their open batches, and either in terms of a supplier, they are counting stock that they've already received, but they haven't updated that. Now, guys, if you're using GRNs, different story, it is already counted. But let's say you're not using GRNs or you're on Express. You need to know that the supplier invoices in an open batch have not affected your physical stock on the floor. If you've already received that stock, you need to update that batch. Likewise, if you have customer tax invoices and you have already given them or sent those items to them, so they are no longer on your floor, guys, you need to update that batch. You should only have open batches if they have not affected the physical quantity on your floor. Because if I had to run account inventory now and these two things had actually affected my physical quantity, when I update these, it's going to either take those items off or add those items to my inventory. And now my inventory is inaccurate because I had already received those goods. I had already counted them. And I had already sent those items to my customer. So they need to not be in an open batch. Hopefully that makes sense. Ensure your open batches have not affected your physical count. You haven't received the stock, nor have you removed the stock yet. So that's what you need to check. You are welcome to still have open batches though, as long as it hasn't affected your physical quantity. So guys, I see that happen quite a lot. The next thing that I also see, and this is where people talk about the average costing being wrong, and they're like, my average costing is wrong after running my stock take. Why is it wrong? That doesn't make sense. Because you didn't run it before you ran your year end. And guys, I don't mean you did the stock take immediately after running your year end. I mean, like, you did your year end and then you did your stock take somewhere in March, but then you ran it in February. Guys, the way that the average cost is worked out is it works out. So on this little file here, this value here takes into account every transaction, past, present, future. So if you do, so chronological sequence matters. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. If you process invoices for March and you then go and do a stock take, that has affected your average cost, and it is going to use the affected average cost with your March invoices to process the variance values for February. And so I have seen that happen as well, guys, which is why we say to you, please do all of this before you run year end. Please don't do it after, or even guys, if you're running a 13th period, you should technically do your stock take before you update or process any of your March invoices. Even if you need the 13th period, you need to make sure that stock take is as accurate as possible. Obviously, guys, if you can't do that, at least know the risk that you're running. At least understand, okay, this could be a contributing factor. And hopefully, guys, you're doing a stock take a couple of times a year. Even if your inventory is integrated, it's a good idea to make sure your stock is accurate. So those are just a few things around stock take that you may have experienced, but you didn't understand why it was doing certain things. Now, guys, again, as I said, there's no specific time that you have to do a stock take. It's not 3 days before you run year end. You have to do a stock take. It's just the way it is. Because what if you're running a 13th period and you actually need the whole of March? Am I saying you have to do it on the 27th of March? No, guys, what I'm saying is you need to make sure that your stock take is accurate. And technically, that should be done if you are running March to Feb at the end of Feb. To make sure that your average costing is correct, make sure that you aren't making average cost zero when zeros on hand, make sure that that variance report is accurate, and then you are good to go. So that's technically what I'm saying. If you can't do all of that, I want you to at least be informed of what the possible risks are, so that if you do need to do journals, you can do those journals. Or you are aware, okay, I need to do this as soon as I can, but it is going to include some March processing. Or, you know, you don't have the problem where you forgot to update a customer invoice batch and now your stock is just completely messed up because actually those items had left your floor. They were part of the count and now you've just said that you have far less items than what you do. And again, you have to do another count to rectify that. And it's not worth it, guys. So hopefully you are now more informed of what you need to do, why you need to do it, and how and what a stock take or count inventory is. Then, guys, a really, really important one is the foreign currency revaluation. If you don't know what that is, you're probably not using multi-currency. You don't have to worry about it. My Express people, this is not your problem. But for those of you that are using the foreign currency revaluation, guys, if you don't run this before you run year end, we cannot help you. Full stop. Please don't phone us and be like, what can you do? Because the answer is going to be restore your year end backup, do your revaluation, and reprocess all the work. I've had someone who unfortunately, and guys, I'm not trying to be mean when I go, we can't help you. It's not that we don't want to. It's not a want situation. It's not, oh, you messed up, I told you to do it. Not at all. Not that situation. It's we physically can't help you. There's no way to fix the data if you've done this. if you have not run your foreign currency revaluation, you've happily processed for 3 months and suddenly you're like, hang on, stuff's not adding up. And we're like, run a revaluation. You're like, that's not working. And we go, hey, did you run it before year end? And you go, no. Guys, the only solution that you have is to restore your year end back up. Before you ran year end, run your foreign currency revaluation, redo your year end, and recapture all your work. Please don't be that person. I've got someone recently where they do October to September. They did not run it. They came to us in January and they're like, this is happening and that's happening and there's this huge variance and this is a problem. And we're like, why did you wait 3 months to pick this up? And they insisted they ran it, and guys, I proved that they didn't. And there was nothing we could do but say to them, sorry, you have to restore your year-end backup and run it. Guys, in this instance, if you are going to run 13th period, I advise that you do the revaluation even for the 13th period, whatever transactions are in there, before you run the year end. So even if you do this an hour before you do your year end, make sure that the home currency and the foreign currency are tied together and that you're happy with the values on all periods, including your 13th period. Even if you've only processed a week worth of work in the 13th period. Guys, it's just to make sure that that valuation is correct. It can only be run in the current year. It cannot be run in last year. And there is nothing we can do to help you other than restoring a backup and making you redo days, weeks, or months of work. It's not awesome, guys. It is horrible. And it's horrible to have to tell you that. So please, if you are using multi-currency, one, check that your currency values are correct. What I mean by that, guys, is in edit exchange rates, a lot of the time where this goes wrong is that people are using this option. Now, guys, as you can see, and mine does this a lot, and that is the demo, and technically the exchange rate is correct, but I would have had to work that out, and I don't do fractions. If your currency is weaker than the foreign currency you are using, you should use the second option. And guys, the reason that you should use the second option, sorry guys, is because this is your currency equivalent to 1 in the foreign currency. We know that the rand is weaker than the dollar, but as you can see, it's certainly not 2 rand 57 cents to the dollar. I wish. It's like 15 or 17 bucks. So guys, you need to make sure that this is all correct, because as you saw, this way, that means nothing to me. I'll look at this and go, yeah, you know, the rand's weaker than the dollar. That looks right. But was it? Not even a little bit. So if your home currency is weaker than the foreign currency, it is the second option. You would choose the first option if your currency is stronger than the foreign currency. So guys, if this was rands and I was working, or my home currency is rands and the foreign currency I'm working with is Mauritian rupees, the rand is stronger than a Mauritian rupee, I would choose the first option because I could put in 2 rand 50 for a Mauritian, or 250 rupees per rand. Sorry guys, I think it's 2.5 or so rupees to a rand. But the point is, I would choose the first option because rupees are weaker than rand, and rand is my home currency. But for dollars are far stronger than a rand. And I would have been like, oh yeah, no, it's a decimal, so it should be all good. And I would have been out by so much. So guys, when you are running that revaluation, it is critical that one, the correct radio is selected, radio button, that's what these are called, and that the correct values per period are put here. Otherwise, you may find that you have a huge variance in your exchange GL, profit and loss, on foreign currency exchange. And you're going to get hold of us and go, what happened? And when we investigate, we're going to go, well, you used the wrong exchange rate. And again, guys, there's no way to technically fix that, especially if it was for last year. So again, viewing that variance report and actually checking the variances and making sure that it's correct is critical when you run your foreign currency revaluation. Then guys, the retained income is again something you can just check. It's not a very common thing, but sometimes we either have people who have no retained income. Happens very, very seldomly, and there is a check in place to check that. But guys, sometimes we have it where people see this check and they'll go and create another one. Guys, please don't do that because that also causes a problem. If you go to edit general ledger accounts, you should only have one GL account that shows under the category retained income. If you have two, that's where you're going to have to try to decide which one is the correct one, and you're going to have to merge the values, make sure they're correct, and then only use that one, because Pastel does check for this. And again, guys, it's very rare that you won't have one or that you'll have more than one. But it has happened, so we just ask that you make sure that you have one account with the financial category retained income. Guys, it is going to be a balance sheet account, and that's it. It's just one balance sheet retained income account. One. Please don't create one if you have one. The way you do that is you just search, and yeah, guys, you go down your list of accounts and you make sure that one of them comes up like this. If you need to, you can export your GL to Excel, and you can go to the financial category column and type in retained income. If you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of GL accounts, I understand maybe going through the system and having to like literally go one by one could be very daunting to do this. In my case, I don't have a big GL, so I can very quickly see it. But guys, if you have a huge GL and you're struggling with that, my advice would be, instead of creating something you don't need because you're worried, go and export your general ledger. You cannot import it back because you already have a GL. So guys, before I see that question, why, if I try to import my general ledger accounts, does it not work? Because you can't import a general ledger chart of accounts into an existing general ledger chart of accounts, period. But you can, I thought you could export it. Apparently you can't. No, sorry guys. I honestly thought that you could. No, there it is. Sorry, it's at the top. Export general ledger accounts. I just didn't see it. Apologies. Guys, give it a name. For example, glmaster.csv. I'm putting mine to my desktop. Save. Proceed. And guys, I'm making the start blank. The start 001 and the end can be 9999. Basically, you're saying everything. Then guys, financial category, select the very top one and select the very bottom one because you want everything. Use sub-accounts. If you have sub-accounts, please use them. And then if you only want your unblocked, you can say that, but you might want to say both. If we do that, this might make it a little bit easier, as I said, if you have hundreds of accounts, especially if you have a lot of sub-accounts. Guys, you can open this up and you can very quickly, for example, find, the category. You would obviously need to know what the category is in Pastel. So if you're not sure what that category is, again, edit general ledger accounts. And guys, you can go and have a look at what the account type is for it. So if it's, for example, balance sheet, you can find any balance sheet account. Or in my case, as I say, guys, it's pretty easy for me to find. It is B15. So then here, I can literally search. And guys, hopefully this only comes up once. And yeah, in this case, I find it being called retained income helps. So guys, that's what you would need to know, obviously. You would need to know the category because it doesn't actually call it retained income like it does in Pastel. It calls it retained income. It just gives you the actual B15. But you can also search that way. The other way, if you really want to find what category it is, if you don't want to go through your GLs, is you can go to Setup, Financial Categories. And guys, you can find where retained income shows here. B15. So guys, that's with the retained income account. Then we've spoken about data integrity, the fact that it can be run at any time and should be run multiple times through a year. And if you get errors, you do need to get hold of us. Unfortunately, it is not a case of you can just go to the customer zone and upload data. Guys, it is a manual process where we need to select the correct categories. So whether you call us or you chat or you send an email to support@sage.com, you are going to need to inform us that, hey, I've run data integrity. These are the errors that I've gotten. Please assist. And guys, based on that, basically what we'll do is we will then say to you, look, we've booked it in for data fix. You will get an email and it will tell you how to upload your data. Guys, if you do not know how to use the portals, how to upload your data, how to download your data, I have added the webinar that I did on the importance of running data integrity, upload and download procedures to YouTube. I strongly advise that you go check it. I am in the process of creating individual upload and download procedure videos. Hopefully they'll be up at the end of the week. Then guys, open batches have been updated or placed on hold. Now this is a huge one and this is going to be part of common errors because guys, a lot of the time when you try to run year end, if you have not properly updated your batches or place things on hold, you're going to get the message open batches detected. So guys, generally, point of sale documents cannot be placed on hold or COD. And the reason for that, because a lot of people, that's been a question that's been asked. How come point of sale can't be placed on hold? So what we're talking about here, guys, is we're talking about actual point of sale processing. If you've actually processed your sales returns from within point of sale, those cannot be on hold or COD. And the question that I've been asked is why? Because transactions or documents processed from within Pastel can. And guys, the reason for that is a lot of the time because your point of sale doesn't read from your periods in Pastel. It doesn't actually read from setup periods. It uses part of them, but point of sale goes, this sale is happening right now at this till. And what it does is it actually looks at your system date. It's why in point of sale, I don't know if you've noticed, but you can't choose the date. You can't say this is my period and this is my date. All that it does is it checks that this system date falls within a period that is showing under setup periods. It's also why at times, if you don't run your year end, you will be told that the transaction date does not fall within the periods. What it means is your system date in Windows does not form part of your setup periods. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to close point of sale. So it does not form part of your periods here. So this system date needs to fall within the periods here. Now mine does because we're still in Feb. But generally, if you don't allow the 13th period and you're on the 1st of March and you try to use point of sale and you haven't run year end, it's going to tell you that the date is outside of your financial year. Again, guys, option is to enable the 13th period, or let's say you actually on the 1st of April, guys, what you can do is change your system date. You change your system date back You run the reset, and you reset last used date for Pastel, or it won't open. And then you're going to have to run your year end, because that's the only way around it. So basically you'll say reset last used date, and you will run your year end on the 31st of March 2022. And once you've done that, guys, you will set your system back to the 1st of April or the 3rd of April, whatever it is. But yeah, guys, point of sale, the reason that you can't do that is because it uses system date, not periods in Pastel. You can put things on hold though, because that's all linked to a period and a date. Point of sale is not. That is why. Just in case you've also wondered, because I've had that question, and it is a valid question, because it's a case of, but how come you can have this be on hold and that can't? Because point of sale does not use periods and dates. It uses system date, and it just checks the falls within that. You can't place it on hold or COD. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't have the functionality. So you have to take those off. And once you've taken them off, you have to update them to Pastel. So guys, again, what I mean by that is if we're here, a supervisor needs to log in and needs to go update all documents. If you check and it's telling you have a point of sale cash up or batches, and you can't find any COD or on hold point of sale documents, guys, it's probably because you haven't updated them to Pastel. So technically they're sitting in an open batch in point of sale. Always update your documents, then do the cash up, and then that should disappear. That's just for point of sale. Guys, then obviously within Pastel, please make sure that either your documents are on hold or updated, and make sure all of your cash books and journals are either updated or deleted, period. Obviously, guys, I will go through open batches detected when I do that webinar, and I can show you exactly what you need to do. That is not for this time. We're just briefly going over the prerequisites and what you need to do for your year-end prep. So guys, that's the open batches and what you need to do. And then guys, we've got year-end reports. Have they been run? Now, this is not a big thing. Generally, sorry guys, I accidentally clicked on my Teams. It doesn't want to go anywhere, which is frustrating me. Okay, there we go. So guys, your year-end reports being run, it's not a train smash if you run them before or after. It's just you need to know to either tick this year or untick this year. And it depends if you create a new company or not. So this is really not a big deal. If you don't do it before you run year-end, you can do it after. And it's basically just filters. And then guys, have I made a backup of my current company? Now guys, basically, you're going to do this just before you go to change year end. Obviously, if it takes ages to create a backup, please make sure that you have that time and you're not freaking out because now this is taking too long and no one can work and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I understand. Again, a big data set can take a really long time to back up. You don't want everyone sitting twiddling their thumbs for 6 hours because it's taking 3 hours to back up and then it's taking 4 hours to run year end. Guys, you need to check the size of your data. If you see it's going to take a long time to back up, you maybe want to do this like on a Friday afternoon where you run your backup and then you go change year end, you do all of the checks for the year end and then you let it run over the weekend, because you don't want people to sit doing nothing because, as I said, it's taking 6 hours or 12 hours or 2 days. So guys, that's all of your prep. Now there are a couple of things that, again, I want to give you tips on that are more when doing the year end. And we've kind of briefly, or I've done a segue into it. And what I mean by that is we've just spoken about large data sets. And guys, we will have people come to us and go, oh, the year end is broken because it's taking hours to run, but your company is a couple of gigs big. Guys, you need to again understand what the year end process is doing. And to put it very mildly, your year end process is touching every ACC.dat file in your company. It is basically processing millions of lines of data because this year all needs to become last year. So every line in your transaction file of all of your history is altered because it's all moved up by 1 year. This is why I say it's important to actually manage your companies and remove history from time to time. But guys, the year-end process is the biggest process you are going to run. It is incredibly resource intensive, and it is basically writing every transaction over again. That now being said, do you understand why it takes so long? Because people just think, oh, well, all that it's doing is incrementing 1 year. No, guys, it is doing so much more. Yeah, it increments your periods by 1 year, but this year becomes last year. Every single transaction has to have a change to the periods because, guys, and please do not in any way ever try to do a change in PCC unless you are qualified, because you will break the system. But to give you an idea on the monumental task that the year end has to perform, and yes, guys, this is where we do data fixing, and no, I cannot teach you how to do it. One, because I myself am not an expert in it, I can do very basic data fixing, and two, unless you are trained on how to do it properly, you are going to break the system. So please don't come and fiddle here because you kind of think that you kind of know how to data fit. No. Unless you are actually qualified, you've gone for that training and you absolutely do know, please don't. And guys, no, we as Pastel will never teach you how to do that, I'm afraid. So for those of you who are maybe like, can you do a webinar on data fixing? No, I can't. I'm sorry, not because, again, I don't want to, but because, one, I physically can't. I do not have the knowledge. And two, for legal reasons. We cannot teach you unless you are qualified to do it. Guys, that would be like me getting hold of a surgeon and go, hey, teach me how to do brain surgery. You know how? I'll be awesome at it. No one would trust me. I haven't gone through 7 years of med school. You wouldn't want me operating on your brain. I hope that makes sense. Ledger transactions. So guys, this is your transaction file. So basically, every single line, this has to change. You see the differences here. There's 102, there's 1, there's -1, there's -2. So guys, every single line has to be changed because 111 will possibly now become 1 or -1 or -2 or whatever it is. Guys, I really can't remember. I don't know which way it goes, if it's the minuses first and then the positives, but you get the point. It basically has to change all of this. So it is every transaction, and this is on multiple tables. This is just one table. This is just your transaction file. You've got your history header file, your history lines file. Then you've got your master files, which hold all of your balances per period. That all needs to be changed. So guys, the reason I showed you PCC and that is to show you the monumental task year end goes through. So when you go process year end and you read it and it's telling you everything it's doing, it is huge. And if you get the program state not responding, please don't think it's not working. It's just, if you have a 2 gig data file, that is a lot of transactions to go through. It is going to give you that. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. That's where I go. If it takes 4 hours for you to do a backup, you're probably someone who on a Friday needs to do that backup and then run the year end over the weekend. That's kind of how it works, guys. So please bear that in mind as well. Please never never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, ever run the year end over the network. So what I mean by that, guys, is if you come in and you access Pastel via a map drive. So I don't think that I'm set up that way, but let's say this is a map drive, which it is, but it's through VPN for me, for Sage, but let's say this is my Pastel. Please, if you are opening companies, not from your local drive, please don't run the year end from your machine over the network. Because again, guys, based on what I just told you, you are asking to corrupt your own data. Year end needs to be run locally. If you cannot run it on the server, which is first prize, the machine where the company is actually locally saved, if you cannot access that machine, please copy it to your local drive and run it locally. Do not run it over a network. Yes, guys, if you have a very small company, you may have done this and gone, but my company was fine. Awesome. It was a very small company. There's a greater chance that you won't have data corruption than if it's bigger. But guys, again, you still have a chance of getting data corruption. Why take that chance? Please don't do it, because as well, guys, this I often see happen, and people only realize it 3, 4, 5 months down the line. They get a status 2 on a specific file or whatever, they get a critical error, or they get a status 2. And when you rebuild files, the moment you've rebuilt it, you always need to run data integrity. They come and they run data integrity and they get pages of errors, pages upon pages upon pages. And they're like, we don't know when this happened. What do we do? And we start restoring backups, and it doesn't matter how far back we're going, it's not working. Until we ask the question, when you did your year end, did you run it over the network? Oh, yeah. Well, you've just lost 6 months worth of work. So hopefully either your accountants can give you a working trial balance with take-on balances, or you're catching up 6 months worth of work. Guys, again, it's not worth the consequences of running it over the network. If you cannot run it on the machine that is registered as a server where the company actually resides, and if you don't know where that is, you go to File, Open. Sorry guys, my own PC has File Explorer issues, which is always fun. So this might take a while to open, but I'll show you how to find where it's opening so you know if it's local or network. If it's network, guys, please copy it local. Don't take the chance of corrupting your data. It's not worth it. Once you've run the year end locally, you copy it back to the map drive or to the network drive. It's totally okay. Yes, you probably will need your IT, because in a multi-user environment, we add on the server, we activate on the workstations. You do not add. Please remember that. But guys, rather be safe than sorry, because there is a chance you will corrupt your data. And again, guys, those are not errors data integrity can fix, not because they don't want to, but if you've got 15 pages of errors, certain errors we cannot fix. But as well, how much are you prepared to pay to fix this data? Because if you've got 15 pages, they're probably going to spend 4 days fixing your data. You only get 4 hours free, and it is 900 Rand per hour. Most people cannot afford that kind of fix, even if they can fix it. So guys, don't take that chance. Please just run it locally. Otherwise, guys, I think that is pretty much main advice I have for you. Oh, one more thing. Just in case you guys do need to run your year end before I start with my year end webinars, which is running the year end and common year end errors. Guys, if you are running SQL for point of sale or debtors manager, there is a right way and a wrong way to run the year end. And again, guys, if you phone in and go, oh, but I created a new company and I do have SQL point of sale and you now need to make it work. No. Because you ran the year end wrong. All the information is here for you, and we can't make it work, guys. So if you have SQL, while you're welcome to create new company, you cannot run the year end in the new company. The year end has to be run in the currently open company, guys. So it has to be run in the original company. Otherwise, you are going to break your SQL link and you're going to have no history and there's going to be untold issues. And guys, the only solution is restore your year-end backup and run the year-end correctly. So guys, please bear that in mind. With SQL, there is a right way and a wrong way to run the year-end. Please don't run it the wrong way. It's a lot of effort and it's unnecessary, and it's a lot of unnecessary frustration. So you can create new company, but this new company is going to become last year. So this will be your 2021-2022 year. And the company that you had open, so mine was year NP. Year NP will be the company you always run the year end. It will move from 2021-22 to 2022-23. So yeah, guys, eventually it opened to show you, here's where you can see your file path. So if you see C drive, you go into my computer, you select this PC, you can see C drive says local drive. Awesome, it's local. But if that said, for example, P, Pastel 19, and it shows under network locations, that is on the network. Okay, yeah, so guys, as I was saying, if I had to run and I had SQL, I would have to run the year end in year end P. So I could create a new company called year end 21, and that would be the company I give to my auditors for my March 2021 to Feb 2022. Year end P would be March 2022 to Feb 2023. I hope that makes sense. Guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to give you some time just to ask me questions about the prep. Once we're done with the prep, I'm then going to go through the channels you can use. Guys, the channels you can use is going to take about 5 minutes. So please start typing your questions. And in like 2 minutes, I'm going to take us through the channels that is. Alrighty, guys, so obviously not to waste time, as you type in your questions, you can just listen to me as I go through the channels available to you. But guys, firstly, Sage City is going to be your best friend, especially with regards to year end. So if you go to sagecity.com, hopefully it'll put the ZA in and you don't have to choose Africa and Middle East. But if you do, please choose Africa and Middle East. And then you're going to select Sage 50 Cloud Pastel. When you go into Sage 50 Cloud Pastel, if you are not already a member, please click on the orange ribbon. And then guys, select join or sign in. Now guys, obviously I'm already a member, so I'm just going to enter my credentials. But in this instance, if you're a new user, you're going to say create account and you're going to go through the steps. Guys, they're super easy. You shouldn't really have an issue, I hope, but that's what you would need to do. I'm hoping I've remembered my password while I was talking. Now guys, once you've either created your account or you've signed in, if there's a pink banner talking about notifications, I strongly advise that you click on them because it'll tell you every time I post something. Or if you are asking a question via our channel, for example, on the general discussion, and you go and ask a question, it will also let you know that that has been answered. Guys, if you are going to ask questions via Sage City, please note that the turnaround time is 1 to 2 days, because this is actually a community forum. We strongly advise that you, if you know the answer, answer each other. This is meant to be a community helping itself. It's not meant to be a support channel. However, if we see after 24 hours no one's answered you, we will provide an answer. If we provide an answer, guys, and it does resolve your query, we do ask if you will just verify it. Sorry, just a little thing from me, a little ask, because otherwise I have to go through and check if the solution is right and verify it. And if it didn't work for you, that's going to frustrate you. So I do try to only verify things that have worked. Guys, as well, if you do say that worked, thanks, that's also fine. If you don't know how to verify, if I see that you've given feedback, I will verify it. I do not generally answer you. We have other people in support that do that, but I do verify their answers. Guys, that being said, as I said, Sage City is going to be one of your best friends during year-end because we have something called the year-end center. And if you click on the year-end center, it is going to take you to everything year-end. It's going to take you to FAQs. It's going to take you to checklists. It's going to take you to training. And it's going to take you to updates. So if you aren't on the latest 19.3.5, guys, you can go to the software updates. If you would prefer to sit here and view the videos, guys, we've tried to create videos on everything year-end based. So this is just for year-end, but this specifically links to all of our YouTube videos for year-end. So you can come here and you can have a look. The one about open batches, the one about how to make a backup when using Debtors Manager SQL, how to do a stock take, how to import inventory quantities into Express and no add-on modules. So guys, if you're doing a stock take and instead of plugging in and literally punching in all of the figures one by one, you can create a TXT or a CSV and you can import those layouts, but they need to be correct. So we've done videos on that. So guys, you've got the videos here. And then guys, you've also got the infographic. Now, the infographic, which is full year-end processing, is, in my opinion, fairly informative. Because guys, what we've done is we've tried to put this in a way that will bring structure to your year end. So we've tried to put it in little bite sizes. We're like, okay, here's year end preparation. And then what do I need to do for year end preparation? Now guys, if you click here, this will take you to the document. This will play a video. So we've tried to obviously have as many videos as possible. Not everything has a video, but guys, honestly, if you don't know how to create the retained income account, we do have a video on how to create a GL account. But we have tried to do that. If you need to go back, you press the home button, year-end assistant, and again, guys, you'll see if you don't use SQL versus if you do use SQL. And then what you have to do after year end. Because guys, there are checks that you need to do after year end, and the majority of people don't do them, which is why we get phone calls 4 to 5 months after year end, and suddenly it's like, oh no, I have these issues. Because if you ran the year end over the network and you ran a data integrity check, you would get the errors. So there are reasons for this, but guys, obviously we've got this infographic as well. And then guys, hopefully this support webinar will link to the year-end webinars dates once I've created them. I have not yet created those. So this is taking you, I think, to the current topic webinars. I just want to check if I'm right. Yeah. So guys, this is taking you here. And I'm two minds about whether I should just create a whole lot of stuff from this one, but I do prefer to keep them separate. So this link will probably change. This will hopefully be, and you get the news flash next week, that will have the new link in it. But everything here is to help you. And these are all the articles here that you can also refer to. So the year-end center is going to be your best friend. Then guys, we also have the Sage knowledge base. Again, if you go to sagekb.com, please first select Sage 50 Cloud, because a lot of people will type in their question before their product, and then they get frustrated when things like Sage Business Cloud Accounting comes up or Evolution comes up. They're like, that's not what I asked for. But guys, if you're on the main screen, that's exactly what you asked for. You need to specify a product first, and then guys, again, you can just go year-end if you would prefer. I do think that using Sage City and the year-end center makes a lot more sense. But guys, you also are welcome to come here and use this option. Alternatively, guys, if you really want, you can just go to YouTube. And in YouTube, you can then search for what you're looking for. It may come up, it may not come up. If you just do a straight search. Generally, guys, if you go Sage 50 Cloud Pastel, exactly like I've written it, to my knowledge, most of the stuff should come up. Not mine, but guys, this is where you then have to look, because you can see everything inventory, multi-user, and you can look through it. A quicker way, and you might find the videos a lot easier, is if you actually go Sage Customer Support and Training. You click on the Sage Customer Support and Training option. And then guys, you come down to playlists and you're looking for Africa and Middle East. And if you go one over, you're going to get Sage 50 Cloud Pastel. And you can then go view full playlist. Now guys, the reason you're going view full playlist and you're not just telling it to play is because in this way, you can actually check through all 204 videos. Obviously, not all 204 are about year end, but this way it makes it a lot easier for you to at least try to find what you're looking for. Guys, we do add to this monthly. You will get at least 2 to 4 new videos a month, if not more. So we are adding a lot to YouTube. Then guys, yeah, those are basically the channels available to you. Other than the normal chat and the email and phone. Then guys, a question that came up is, how did I get to the infographic? So how I got to the infographic is I went to sagecity.com. So this page. I then went to Sage 50 Pastel, and guys, the year-end infographic will also be on the news flash, just so you know. But I went here, then I went to visit the year-end center, and then under checklists, I clicked on full year-end processing. So that guys, you know, I can give you all this link, you can all have the link, but obviously, you know, you then need to save this somewhere. It's a lot easier to be able to go, oh, I know exactly how to get to this over and over again. So guys, this is here. This is how you can do it. And guys, I will put it on the news flash. And the news flash then will also be via Sage City. So again, if we're in Sage City and we go to Sage 50 Cloud, guys, there will be a new one that says Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting News Flash February. And that will be here. And if you want to view it, you can click on it. And basically what it'll do is it'll download a PDF for you. Otherwise, guys, yeah, that's it from me. So this is now question time, guys, where you can ask me whatever you need to. If you're happy, you can say, Joe, I'm happy. That'll be awesome. If you've got questions, please let me know.